test.
Plus, I'm doing it now. We'll see how everything comes through. But Captain Jack, you're our last interview of the day here in Slab City, and it's been a wild time. We've kind of already asked you some questions off camera. Ziv, can you recapitulate? Help me out with the memory here. My brain is fried.
It's just
been boiling in the
Ron
sun.
Spencer mostly.
I mean, we want to know about.
We want to know about.
People
We want to know about the general vibe.
Oh,
of
the
Slab City.
general vibe.
Just the overall general vibe.
Yeah.
It is, as a tourist, a day tripping tourist, you guys are gonna get pretty good vibes because we all like tourists. Believe it or not, we like outsiders coming in and hanging out with us. Living here, the general vibe is the crowd you're hanging out with, man. You know, there's the good and the bad and the ugly in Slab City. You know, pick your friends and be careful who you hang out with. There's some people out here that it's like any small town. There's small town drama, you know. But I kind of avoid all that. I mostly hang out with the artists and all the creative people in Slab City. So we get like a small little community of creative artists out here.
So how long have you been in Slab City?
I'm in my 11th year of Slab City now. Yeah. I didn't mean to stay this long. I just meant to stay a year.
And what kept you here?
I was having too much fun to go back to the real world. You know, the no rent thing was very appealing. I just had to figure out a way to come up with some kind of hustle, you know, to make it happen. There's no employment out here. We're in the middle of nowhere, in the desert. But yeah, after a year, I thought, you know, I just don't want to leave. I'm not ready to leave. And now I'm at a point where I don't know if I'll ever leave. Mm-hmm. I'm so adapted to living off the grid. I'm just so adapted to this lifestyle.
Day to day, do you have a general fear?
None.
Did you have fear when you first got here?
When I first got here, I was a little freaked out because I thought maybe that I had made a mistake because I found Slab City on the internet, and within 5 days I dropped my life and was sitting in a little trailer that I bought off Craigslist here. I had to do it before I talked myself out of it. So yeah, I found this place. That's quirky. I should go try it out, live there. If I'd have put a lot of thought in there, I would have talked myself out of it. I would have stayed in San Francisco. I would look for another building to manage. I was in property management. I didn't quite look like this. And, but yeah, I was afraid that I made a mistake. You know, that maybe this is a bad idea, but quickly got over that. And as far as being afraid, I haven't not only locked my door at night, I don't even close my front door. It stays open all night long. Summertime, I sleep outside on that bed over there with all my animals. I'm just outside staring at the stars all night. And once you get your solar up, you know, the sun never sends you a power bill, so electricity's free. And I've got air conditioning and refrigerator and lights and the internet. Got everything I had in my apartment in San Francisco, but it doesn't cost me anything.
But you go.
Do you have any words of advice for somebody that wanted to come out here and get off the grid? Some things that they could be prepared for?
I would say be prepared for the brutal summer heat. If you're not used to extreme temperatures, if I would suggest anyone moving here, move here in October, in November. Find you a spot and start building. And before the summer hits, have some shade built, a shade structure. And if you can, go 2 feet up and build a shade over that. Build shade on top of shade and then expand that shade out as far as you can get it. Even if you're just in a van or an RV, I'd build like a carport over it, put your solar panels on top of that. But you just want to keep the sun from beating down on you.
And so what you prefer about Slab City as opposed to the rest of the world, it isn't just the economic freedom. What other freedoms do you enjoy in Slab City that you would have to give up to return to the world at large?
I like having my dogs, I know it sounds crazy, but I like having my dogs off leash and without collars on and not confined. And they don't run through the slabs. They just stay in my yard and they stay on the street. Sometimes they go visit my neighbor. But I like having the freedom of having my animals free. I like having the space. I've always lived in apartments mostly. So I'm not used to having a giant area that I can go out and put a garden in, put a pond in. You know, there's no one to tell you no. You know, I can build what I want when I want. It's like building a fort when you're a kid, you know, but you can build it and move into it. I just made a video the other day, yesterday, and I said something like, it's easy to build a home here. It's hard to live in it. You know, if you're not used to off-grid, you gotta put in your own septic system. You know, I built 3 or 4 composting toilets. Now I put in my own septic system now. I have a flushing toilet. But you got to be able to be creative and have some kind of ingenuity. I mean, like I said, if you're going to live here, you're going to build your own septic system. Put together a solar system. You're going to need power, but that's simple. Mm-hmm. Don't let anybody tell you solar is complicated. It's 2 wires. It's positive and negative, basically. Solar panel, charge controller, batteries, power inverter, power.
And the people in Slab City, do you prefer them to the people in your previous life?
I do, because I know these people. I live in the cities. I didn't know my neighbors. I didn't know who the fuck those people were. People right next door to me, I've barely seen them. Maybe said hi in the hallway checking the mail, but I had no idea who was around me. I know everybody out here, not just the people around me. I know this whole town is so small.
And Slab City has a bit of a reputation for like people just being drugged out tweakers.
And there is that.
Yeah.
There is that. And that's what people tell me all the time. Like, I can't live there because there's so many tweakers out there doing drugs. I'm like you don't got that problem in your town? You telling me Slab City's the only place with tweakers? Come on, man. That's everywhere. This is smaller, so it's a little more amplified, But out of 250 people, maybe 20 people are like really hard. Some people out here can do that shit and handle their own business and don't mess with nobody, And then the ones that are like fuck ups, they just kind of like fuck with each other. They leave the rest of us alone for the most part. If you don't mix it up in that circle, then you're not a part of it. So it really doesn't affect you. I mean, I hang out with, this is an art camp, Dot's an art camp, Flamingo Camp's an art camp. So the street's just all art camps with East Jesus at the end.
And do you think most people, once they came to Slab City and lived here for a year, they wouldn't want to go back? Or do you think some people, it would just be like a short period of their life? Or is the freedom too much? Like nobody would want to give it up?
I think the people that can make it through their first summer pretty much stay here. Like, I got friends here who have been here 3 years now, and I got friends who have been here 4 and 5 years now. It was just that first summer. Most people that move here, they leave their first summer. And it's usually not the people that they leave. It's not because we're fucking with them. It's the heat. It's brutal. And it takes a lot of electricity to run an air conditioner. It takes a lot to turn the air conditioner on, And gasoline generators are out of the question. You just can't afford gas to power your house. It's not very efficient.
If someone offered you $1 million right now, would you leave?
Yeah.
For
$1 million, I would move to a state that was had what they call Homesteader Friendly counties, where you can pretty much build what you want without building inspectors. Probably open up an animal rescue sanctuary. Like $1 million, I could buy a few thousand acres of land.
Do you have any idea which state would allow that kind of homesteading thing?
Yeah, there's states like there's some counties in Arkansas, North Carolina. I think Texas has some I think even maybe in Arizona, some counties. Not every county in each state, but some.
Right.
But there's some counties that are homesteader friendly. Well, there's a story that really bugged the hell out of me about this guy in Georgia. He bought 4 acres of land and put a mobile home on it. He bought like a mobile home, but that wasn't zoned for mobile homes. But they told him he couldn't have it there. He wouldn't move it, so they arrested him. But he bought the land. It was his property.
Right.
That was his house.
Right.
So I would never buy land where someone's going to come on and tell me this ain't up to code and you can't have that. I'm used to this now, where you can do what you want.
Right. Have you ever heard of anyone, because every person I've talked to said the heat is the biggest problem. Have you ever heard of anyone trying to dig down into the ground and build like a bunker underneath the ground to escape the heat? Yes,
there's a couple of people that have, and it failed for various reasons. There's one guy that's got a pretty decent place, but he's got it really fortified. But he's just got a small place in his camp. His whole camp is underground. But I watched a guy come out here and go seriously underground, and we had a flash flood.
Oh.
And he wasn't prepared for that.
He didn't have like ways to divert the water.
Because he was only about 80% finished with his house. He wasn't 100% done with it. And he was new out here, and he just didn't know that every 4 years we have a major flash flood out here. It comes down. And so he had a swimming pool pretty much.
Yeah.
Instead of a house with all his shit at the bottom of it. Oh. That was in 2012.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe learning from those mistakes if you gave me $1 million and told me I had to use it in Slab City, I think I would try to build down as much as possible, create a bunker system that had some way of diverting the water for those flash floods,
Dude.
and then, you know, have a cool place and
Drop shipping containers under the ground.
essentially, yeah, I would want to dig a space for a shipping container, put that underneath, and then create a, like when you go in your shower, there's a drain. I would want to create a drain system. In Japan, they have that under Tokyo, where when there is a hurricane or something, they have a massive drainage so that the city doesn't flood. It just goes all underneath the city.
Well, that's their engineering marvels in Japan.
So I'd get some Japanese engineers out here to build me my Slab City compound.
Well, $1 million, you could afford it.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But otherwise, you deal with the heat the best you can. And some people were talking about getting more freezers out here, and having more communal food sharing, and trying to like have it, you know, buy more in bulk, put it in freezers, less trips to the store.
Yeah, you need a lot of solar power running deep freezers. Depends on how many you got. You know, these hay bales here is good thermal mass. What I'm doing with these is I'm going to dip sheets in concrete and cover these hay bales, and the heat does not go through them.
Oh, okay. Very good.
That's why they're wrapped around the back of my RV like that.
I understand.
So it keeps the sun off the back. And in the back of my RV, I have it sealed off, and that's where my air conditioner is.
Okay. Now you mentioned stuff about solar panels. What do you think would happen is if like a commercial businessman came out here and was like, I'm just going to build a bunch of solar panels and harvest that electricity as a profit venture. Do you think the government would come down on him if he got big enough?
If he got big enough, but there are solar farms out here in the desert. Not in Slab City, but close by. Between here and Nyland, there's a solar farm. That's a big thing out here is buying raw, because it's cheap land. And the sun's just beating down on it all day. I think a solar farm is profitable.
Cool.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Team?
No. Well, last thing. What's your YouTube channel?
Oh, my YouTube channel is Slab City Jack. Slab City, one word, Jack. And the videos are ridiculous most of the time. I got a lot of cat videos because I run a cat rescue and sanctuary in Slab City. So there is a abnormal amount of cat videos, but I've been told I got the most boringest cat videos on the internet. My cats are just like laying around doing nothing when I film them.
Well,
The Venmo, Slab City _Jack.
Yep.
And Venmo, yeah, that's for anybody want to donate to my Slab City Cat Rescue. I'm taking care of about 10 cats right now, but the number goes up and down.
Awesome. All right. Well, we appreciate the interview.
Yeah,
With
man.
that, we'll sign off.
All right. Take
Peace.
care. Stay hydrated.
Bye bye.
All right. Bye-bye.